I brought those Google Maps. Waterfalls, they have like destinations.
You've been there. Gotta do what you gotta do. One day. Yeah. Definitely totally worth saving all the good trips for when she's older and stuff too. Because I don't even remember most of those when I was that, you know. So, yeah. Yeah, if you gotta do it, you're gonna. Yeah. I think when we went, I think I was about 10, but I don't really remember a lot of the, like, you know, like the details about it. I mean, I'm sure it was like the time of my life or whatever, but, you know, trips now are a little.
And then the next year we go.
Perfect. Then you'll know what this is like. The trip that William went on, the travel, was that just his basic EDC course? Do you know? The one he just, the travel he had for 800 basic EDC? Make sure I get all my stuff together. Oh, hell. Okay. Sandra, what's this? What is this? It's like a... Oh, like a laser or something. But I can still use this thing? No.
Okay, if everyone could take their seats, we're going to start the city council meeting in just a couple of seconds. So,
Okay, so I can click with this.
oh, it doesn't sound right, does it? Does it? Sounds much better. Good evening and welcome to the Leon Valley City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, 2019, and all council members are present to begin focusing on the agenda at hand. So if you would please stand. It is now 6 o'clock. If you'll please stand and join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin our presentations, just a few notes here. Ms. Kinsler is not with us this evening. She's on vacation visiting her family. And Crystal Caldera will be substituting in for her. Thank you, Crystal. Please silence your cell phones. And again, just a reminder about our local rules that if you have anything to add on our agenda items after the staff presentation and council discussion, please raise your hand so that we can address those concerns, because sometimes I'll forget to look out. So thank you for that. All right. So we'll move then to agenda item number 2, which is presentations, and we have Ashley Wayman, our Assistant Finance Director, here to give us the financial report for February 2019. Good evening, Ashley, and welcome.
Good evening. All right, so we will be working on the February financial report. Starting with our general fund, sales tax was up this month about 2.98%. So we're looking pretty good on our sales tax, and we've actually already received the March sales tax, and we're up 3.62% at that point. So we're doing great. This is for December. Sales tax is 2 months behind, so what we receive in February is for December.
Okay. Can I ask you about the can we ask questions while you go on?
Sure.
The franchise tax, why is that so low when we should be at 41.7 conceivably? But
those come in quarterly for the most
do
part,
they?
I believe.
Okay.
Is that correct? Yeah, so
And
I think we've only
we're
received...
behind. Okay,
Right, and
that's great.
they all catch up. And then we do also accrue some of them back. I believe CPS accrues back. So
Okay.
we'll get another one after the end of the fiscal year, and it'll accrue back. So it's just kind of a little
I just
lopsided
looked
right
a
now.
little out of whack,
A
so
little
that's
bit,
why
yes,
I was
ma'am.
asking. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Other than that, our revenues are looking pretty good. Our ad valorem is kind of about where it was at this point last year. Our expenditures are all on track. And if y'all have any other questions, I will move on.
Questions? Yes, if you'll just move on.
To
Thank you.
Our water and sewer fund. We are kind of still working with the winter months, so again, we're not super concerned about water sales at this point, but they are up a little bit from where they were last year at this point. You can see our tapping fees again are very high, a lot of new development going on, and they'll probably continue to go through the roof as we're working on those new apartments down the road.
Thank you for that.
And our expenditures all seem to be on track in this.
And on expenditures, other sources, uses, we've already spent $107,113 for what?
That is our one-time transfer to pay for the water and sewer debt. So that's an amount we set aside at the very beginning of the year. We transfer it over to get it out of the way, so it's just taken care of.
Thank you.
Going to our community center fund, the hotel motel taxes haven't changed. Those are also quarterly, so those you'll kind of see come in. The next one I believe you'll see in April. Other than that, our community center rental fees and our conference center rental fees look to be a little bit high, but they're kind of about where they were last year. This is due to the church group that was renting it and that drove up the rental fees. Without them, we're sitting at about where we were last year for most of those. Other than that, our expenditures in that fund are on track.
Very good. Thank you.
Our Economic and Community Development Fund, well, again, this is part of the general fund, but we just break it out here so you can see it a little bit better. Sales tax is in the same boat as it was for general fund. Regular sales tax up about 2.98%, 2 months behind. And other than that, our contractual, the only thing to point out in there is there was $9,691 for ED project funding, and that was for office furniture liquidations. I believe there was...
A sign?
A sign.
Is that what that was?
Yes, ma'am.
So we basically have 200, well, we have, so it's going to be 213,138 minus the 10,658 for our balance in the contractual? So that's for projects, for ED and CD?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. I just want to be.
Yes, whatever y'all decide to allocate those to, that will be there for. Our red light cameras, they're looking pretty good at this point. We have now including 5 payments to ATS in our contractual, so those are staying pretty caught up. Other than that, our Tier 1 is what we account for and report to the state. Tier 2 is our traffic safety program. We are working on getting the capital purchased out of this account, so those will be catching up pretty soon. But other than that, everything in this...
Okay, and just a reminder, the actual FY 2018 is not for a full year, correct? Correct, we're not doing year to year.
Correct.
Because we only had that half a year,
Just
so.
a partial,
yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a reminder to our citizens.
Next fiscal year will be a lot
Right,
nicer
exactly,
to see the real
exactly.
comparison. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
great.
And finally, our impound lot. we're almost to the point where we've been having a full year. March 2018 was the first month of impound lot operations. So we'll be seeing a full year next month just to kind of get a better idea of how our impound lot is going. But it's revenues are looking good, auctions are as well, and our expenditures seem to be on track.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Ms. Wayman on the financial report? Okay.
Alrighty, and just a reminder again that this and all the other reports we do can be found on our website at Departments, Finance, and then Financial Transparency.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Moving then to presentations 2.2, discussion and possible action on a resolution to create and promote an educational campaign to support local government control. And Melinda Mortz is here this evening to present this agenda item. Good evening, Melinda,
Good evening,
and
Mayor
welcome.
and City Council. So the purpose of this M&C is to consider approving a resolution to conduct an educational campaign to educate our citizens in supporting local government control. Recently, legislation has been proposed at the state level to remove certain local government controls, and some of those include banning local tree preservation ordinances, implementing appraisal and taxing caps, which would limit our budget, obviously, limiting our ability to regulate occupational licenses, and prohibiting the red light camera traffic control programs, which our citizens support. The Texas Municipal League and Leon Valley staff members are voicing concerns to our state legislature regarding the red light cameras. However, we've not asked the citizens to become involved in upholding that program or any other legislation that could negatively affect our lives publicly. The TML has created a campaign called Our Home, Our Decisions in support of local government controls, and it's supposed to produce a similar campaign aimed at educating the citizens on how the removal of local government controls can affect Leon Valley and how the specific bills would affect them specifically. Our citizens have always been active and very involved. Prior to 2017, the city was a Type A general law city. The citizens were really frustrated with some of the answers that they received from staff about how we could not put more stricter controls in place because we were general law. In November of 2017, a home rule election was held, and 60% of the registered voters approved the home rule charter. The change allows City Council to enact laws that further promote and protect our citizens' morals, values, and our identity. Local concerns are unique to Leon Valley, and they may not be of the same concern in a different city. What works for them may not work for us, and vice versa. Informing our citizens of the impact of pending proposals and being able to let our state representatives know that our citizens want local control is vital to our community's well-being and our lifestyle. The city of Granbury, Texas has already started their campaign. They're recognizing their uniqueness and the importance of retaining their collective moral values and identity. Their program consists of the creation of flyers, a page dedicated to it on their website, and then they also approved a resolution, much like the one that's in y'all's packet, promoting local government control. And we would do about the same program. And this is Granbury's flyer. This was produced as a template by the Texas Municipal League. And basically, you just insert your city's uniqueness into these flyers and into the campaign. And this is just a tax information flyer from Granbury. As you know, the state legislature has some bills proposed to cap appraisals and cap some revenues. And so this was to show where that property tax really was spent and how much actually came in. And I read somewhere on TML's website that only 16% of the taxes that are brought in actually go to your local government. The rest goes to the school district and the other taxing entities that are out there. So the fiscal impact is minimal. It can be accomplished with our existing funds. We would create and produce a flyer. We'll place it in the water bills, newsletter, add a page to the website, place it on e-news and all of our other social media. And so we recommend approving this resolution to create the local government control campaign. If there's any questions.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you. And let's open it up for discussion. I mean, I certainly have no objection to it. I'd just like to see the flyer before it's finally, that's what I was going to say. And would we add red light cameras to that message as well?
You could.
Because that seems to be a big issue up
I
there.
went through the proposed bills this time, and there's like 4 pages of bills that would affect the city right now. One of them being that the state legislature capped right-of-way rental fees. And so, like for the city of City of Houston stands to lose up to $27 million annually from this cap. The cable companies are seeking to eliminate existing rental fees. And so basically, they allow a company to elect to pay either the telephone franchise fees under the access line compensation system or the cable fees, but not both. And so they get to pick the more of each two, but they're still making revenue off of both. And so they're using our public right-of-way and getting away with it half price. And so that's just one of the things. The other thing that I was like, uh-oh, is they've got a proposal now for municipally owned water utilities. It says a city may not charge a late payment fee that is more than the greater of $5 or 2% of the amount past due, not to exceed $500. We charge 10%, so this will automatically lower what we can charge for a late payment fee. Being a small utility, we really can't afford for people to be late and pay our bills. And so those are just some of the examples.
Okay, very good. Yes, who would like to weigh in on this? Anyone? Yes, Councilor Alcocer.
That, would we put in the things like that in our flyer?
Yes.
Right.
That would be really good.
And y'all could, whoever does the campaign, I'm not sure it would be me, but whoever does do up the flyers, you can throw your suggestions in because you're the ones watching the legislature.
Sounds like a great idea to me.
Councilor Martinez, did you have a comment?
Since this is just a resolution, I make a motion that we accept this resolution.
Okay.
And with the one provision that when the flyer is complete, it comes back to City Council for review.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Martinez and a second by Councilor Edwards to approve the resolution as presented for the local government control issue, with the caveat that the flyer will come back for City Council final approval. Any further discussion?
Could I just ask a question? I have received a flyer in the mail today from, actually 2 at the house from the governor, saying that there was a hidden sales tax, or raise in sales or taxes built into our system. I just wonder if anybody else had
No,
received
I
that.
didn't get that.
Okay. Thanks, that's all.
You're special. Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your presentation this evening. Moving then to the city manager's report, we have Crystal Caldera, our assistant city manager, here to present this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the city manager's report, as always, is outside and available online. Just a reminder, the next regular city council meeting is Tuesday, April the 2nd. The AARP is currently working in the community center all the way until April the 11th to help with taxes. The volunteer appreciation dinner is scheduled for April the 4th. National Library Week is April 7th through the 13th. UTSA's breakfast is scheduled for April the 10th from 8 to 10:30. The Library Volunteer Appreciation event is scheduled for April the 10th from 5 to 7. The John Marshall High School Band event is in conjunction with the Movies in the Park, and that is scheduled for April the 12th from 5 to 10. The Coffee with the Mayor and Council is scheduled for Saturday, April the 27th. The 2 items that we have on that agenda currently right now, Mayor, is the scooters and the animal control ordinance. So those are the 2 items that we currently have as placeholders for that meeting. So if y'all want to add anything or take anything out.
Yeah, I believe, Councilor Edwards, didn't you ask for a discussion on the EDCD advisory group on the coffee? I thought you did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a third one
Okay.
that we had on there. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, the children's recording artist Joe McDermott concert will be scheduled for Tuesday, June 18th at 10:30 at the Conference Center.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or
There was
comments?
supposed
Yes.
to be the other issue about the the lot at Peachtree and Pass?
Oh, now that I had not, it had not come back to us yet. I don't know. At the Park Commission, I had not, and I think my concern is I just don't know if we're going to have enough time for those 3 items plus citizens' concerns, and maybe it'll be moved to the next coffee.
That's what I
In
had
July,
heard,
would
was
that be
either
all
the
right?
April or the
Yeah.
June or July one.
Okay, all right, that sounds great. Thank you. Anything else on the city manager's report? Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Martinez.
On the city manager's report on code enforcement, it says there were 60, 5 bandit signs were seized. 60 is in parentheses, and then the wording is 5. So which is it, 60 or 5?
It was 60, and it's my typo when I was converting it over.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's 60.
It's 60, 60?
Yes, it was 60.
Okay, very good. Okay. Anything else? Do appreciate it. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for that report. We move on to agenda item number 4, which is citizens to be heard. Is there anyone in our chambers that would like to address the council this evening? Please come forward and state your name and address, just your name and where you live, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak on any concern. Yes. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Will Bradshaw, and I live in Monte Robles neighborhood.
Okay.
And just recently, last week, I had some political signs that were in my yard that were, my understanding of the policy was that they needed to be 3 feet from the edge of the curb or the street, which I don't have curb, so I had them actually 4 feet from the street. But they were moved 17 feet into my yard. And I reached out to the city secretary to find out what the actual law says, which he forwarded to Chief Salvaggio, and he mentioned to me that it's because they were in the public right-of-way, so over the utilities of my front yard. That's the reason why the signs were moved. So I understand that. I mean, I'm not trying to I wasn't trying to do anything funny, but would like to, I need to find out where my actual right-of-way is, where the easement ends in my yard to figure out where the signs actually are allowed, and that I will do. But I would just like to read an excerpt from the Code of San Antonio regarding political signs, because I know that right now the city is reviewing, there's a sign committee that's reviewing the laws of the signs. And Chapter 28, City Code Chapter 28 of San Antonio, they said, are political signs permitted to be put on the public right-of-way? This is from a memorandum. And the answer says, yes, political signs are considered temporary signs per our City Code Chapter 28 and are permitted up to 90 days after the election. While other temporary signs are generally not permitted in the public right-of-way, the intent of our city's sign code is not to prohibit basic political campaigning, which is a key element of our country's democratic election process. So I would just like to submit this to somebody on the sign committee that could take a copy of this memorandum.
Let's see. I believe Mr. Riddle, you're on the sign committee, correct? All right, so maybe you could give it to him because he's.
We do allow political campaign signs during election, and I can't remember, I believe it's 90 days before the election, you're able to post in the city's right-of-way, but it's called electioneering, and it's 100 feet away from the polling, at least 100 feet away from the polling station. So, and it can be up to a certain period of time. I can't recall off the top of my head how long after the election it can remain there.
Right.
But that's the only area in the right-of-way that we,
Near
that
the
our.
polling place, that's what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
near
Where
the
where they have
polling
that
place.
designated area? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the only right-of-way that is allowed, or near any polling place,
Right.
100 feet away.
Okay, so that's I guess the confusion is when you say a public right-of-way, to me, I mean a public road that has the easement, but this is on my property, which I understand there is an easement there for utilities, but I don't know if I would necessarily say that's public right-of-way. Could people come and drive through my front yard then? because it's public right-of-way?
Well,
don't
I don't know the details of that, but if it's designated as a public right-of-way, if your signs would not be, the signs in your public property would not be allowed in that public right-of-way, regardless of what kind of sign it is.
Okay.
Melinda, is there someplace he can go to get a picture of his property that would show those lines at the city? I'm just wanting, that's what I heard, I thought I heard you say.
Yeah,
You'd like to know that.
I have my original deed from when I
Mhm.
purchased the property that I
Right.
can check. I just need to go find that.
Sure.
Right.
Well, and even that's deceiving. The public
Mhm.
right-of-way is not all paved. So you're going to have a paved section, then you're going to have a curb, still public right-of-way, a little bit of grass usually, a sidewalk, all that's public right-of-way. And so usually, it's typically behind the sidewalk. However, we do have some utility easements that are behind the sidewalk even, and so that may be why they moved them so far back on his
That's what
property.
my property doesn't have sidewalks, right? So
Mhm.
it's
Right,
just end of the street and then grass, so that makes sense.
right.
So, but I'd be happy to show them.
Okay, thank you.
I think
appreciate
there's a
that.
difference between easement and public right-of-way also, which needs to be distinguished.
Okay. Can you distinguish that?
Well,
Easement
it's
and
not on the
public
agenda
right-of-way.
right now.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
just saying.
very good. Well, we
Yes.
can talk to him about it.
The discussion is not between,
Yeah,
It's just,
discussions to be heard is not
yeah,
allowed.
okay.
I was just saying that matter of factly
Very
as
good.
a statement
That's a
of
good point.
fact.
Okay, we'll get that distinction from Mr. Bradshaw. Did you have anything else, Mr. Martinez? I wasn't sure if you, okay. Anyone else like to address the council? Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw, on any issue of your concern. Okay, then moving then to announcements by the mayor and council members. We'll start with Councilor Jordan. Councilor Jordan, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Springtime is here, summertime is here, so hopefully the weather will warm up and we have a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez?
Oh, we're going backwards today.
Well, just for
Change it
something
up a
different.
little bit,
Just
right?
for something different, yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And the Northwest San Antonio Chamber of Commerce is having their luncheon tomorrow at the Courtyard Marriott on 151. And it's also their silent auction. So if you want to come and have lunch, and you might pick up some pretty good items fairly cheap. Typically, the items at the auction do not go overboard in price, so you can get some really nice items.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Alcacer.
I also appreciate your attendance tonight, and if you notice all the blooming things, I think it's an indication that we can bloom with each other and smile more and be more considerate of one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rodriguez.
Just go ahead and echo what everybody said about welcoming everybody and thanking everybody for being here. And like Ms. Alcacer says, smile more.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Hope everyone, if you celebrate this, had a good St. Patrick's Day yesterday. I ventured out with my grandson and my wife to some activities in downtown San Antonio, and it made me realize that I think maybe we should make an effort to have more events in Leon Valley, and maybe some consideration to a fiesta event with the idea of making Leon Valley kind of a destination. So just wanted to share that viewpoint, but thanks again for coming out.
Okay, thank you. Just a few things. I wanted to thank our volunteers, including our council, for their untiring service. And also to remind you that we have our annual Volunteer Appreciation Dinner on April the 4th, and it's an Aloha theme. So you got to, we want you to dress up like you're from Hawaii. And Sandra Pasley and her team have been working tirelessly to get that event together. So thank you for that. And the catering will be from Leon Valley Cafe. So you should have gotten your invitation, and please RSVP. And what is that deadline, Ms. Pasley? Okay, it's soon. Yeah. Okay, very good. I also want to remind everyone that Los Leones, which is the Northside Independent School District function for it's like their annual art fair, is this coming Saturday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. at John Marshall High School. So hope to see you all there. And also, just wanted to thank Women in Transportation. Councilor Ana Sandoval and I were invited to attend their meeting today, and we both became honorary members. I didn't even know that that group had existed. So I wanted to thank them for including she and I in that presentation this afternoon. So, all right. With that said, thanks for coming. And is there anyone on the council who would like to remove consent agenda item 1 or 2 for discussion? Seeing no one, may I please have a motion and a second to approve?
I so move.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Rodriguez to approve the consent agenda item 6.1 and 6.2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Moving then to agenda item number 7, ordinance. These are our second reads, and we do need a vote for 7.1 and 7.2. And I'd like to ask our City Secretary, Sandra Postle, to please read 7.1.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council authorizing an acceptance of a community development block grant award in the amount of $302,632 to construct the Blacksmith and Wagon Spoke Water Sewer Main Project, authorizing the negotiation and execution of a CDBG program agreement with Bexar County, authorizing a fiscal year 2018-2019 enterprise fund budget adjustment in the amount of $498,100, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Demline, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. And
Is there any new information
I don't
from
have
last
anything.
meeting?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I don't have anything to add other than we did add a map that was
Okay, good.
requested of the 4 projects that we've done in the Old Mill neighborhood with CDBG funds. Actually, it's including the proposed project that would be constructed later this summer. But just a map showing that we have a drainage project at the intersection of Hebner and Timber Hill, and then the 3 water and sewer main projects that we have in that neighborhood. So we just wanted to provide that with this item.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gives a really good overview of what's been completed and what is going to be completed. So thank you.
And this one's already underway, well underway?
Yes, ma'am. The engineer is designing the project right now, and then we would bring back another item for your all's consideration with the award for the construction of that project. And we anticipate that to probably be around hopefully the April-May timeframe.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Demmeline, either from our council or from anyone in our chambers this evening?
So, Mayor, I move that we approve this as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Jordan to approve ordinance 7.1 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Then moving then to agenda item 7.2, Ms. Postle, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council accepting the lowest responsive bid and awarding a contract to San Antonio Pool Management, Inc. in the amount of $101,330, authorizing the negotiation and execution of a contract to manage the 2 City of Leon Valley community pools, amending the fiscal year 2018-2019 general fund in the amount of $53,330 to fully fund the contract, providing for repealer and severability and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
All right, very good. Mr. Demmeline, I know you took this issue to the Pool Advisory Committee.
Yes,
and
Mayor.
I was just wondering what the upshot of that was.
Yes, Mayor, we have met with the Pool Advisory Committee. We have some of our members are here this evening. Mr. and Mrs. Diaz, Irene Baldridge, and Karen Frydek is here this evening.
Great.
We did meet to discuss the management contract and also another item that I'll be presenting on the fees. And so everyone is in support of moving forward with this item. And the only other couple of things I wanted to add is I did report that we were going to have a leak detection survey of that pool. It came back, and the good news is it's really not a major type of repair, but there are some repairs that are going to be needed at our skimmers, and some of the lights. We'll need to address that. But we have, we're working through, of course, some estimates on that right now. And so we're pretty comfortable with moving forward with those repairs. I can report back to you what that item or what that estimate will be once we have those. And then the other item I wanted to mention is we do have San Antonio Pool Management is here this evening. I wanted to introduce them, and then if you all had any questions for them, they are available. But with that, Mayor, that's what I would add to this item.
And if we could introduce the San Antonio management people,
Yes,
just
we
so we'll
have,
put names and faces together.
Sean Ruiz and Dee Casey are here this evening. And so we look forward to working with them moving forward, and just thought we should
Certainly.
introduce you to them and have them available.
Very good. Will one of the two be managing both of the pools? We have a name and a face to a manager. If you'll come on up, just so. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Your question is, will one of us be
Yes.
managing the pool? So
Well,
it
we
will
have
be
a
one of
person
us.
on presence.
Correct. There will be a designated manager for. Is it going to be each pool or both?
We're going to have 3 between the 2.
3 managers between the 2 pools.
Right. Because the idea is that you always have a manager on the clock at all times as the pools are operating. That's the idea behind it.
All right. Very good. And then y'all would be responsible for hiring the lifeguards and doing all of that.
Yes, ma'am. As well as hiring, getting them trained, and also running the concessions for, I think it was one of the pools or both.
I think the request was for 1, but we would be open to doing it at both if that's preferred. It would not be a problem to do it either way.
Okay. Does both, I know Forest Oaks has a concession, but I'm not sure about the other pool.
We did have concessions at both
Okay.
pools, Mayor.
So y'all could do it for both. Okay.
Correct. The
Very
only
good.
thing is we can't do any hot food or cooked food because then that would require a different type of license. So it would be things like snacks and things of that such.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We haven't had an opportunity to meet with San Antonio Pool Management, but if the item is approved, we have a meeting scheduled soon to kind of work out these details.
Okay. Very good. You can bring those back to us. Okay. So as far as the hours and all that still needs to be determined. I didn't see that in the packet.
Actually, that's in the contract, Mayor.
Oh, it's in the
being
contract.
12 to 8.
12 to 8.
12 noon to 8 o'clock, 6 days a week for both pools. And we would alternate like we did
Last year with the days closed, Monday or Tuesday? Okay. All right. Very
So
good.
that one pool will actually be open all the time, one or
Good.
the other. Okay.
The full-time schedule, it goes to 6 days a week, starting June 7th through August 24th, and that reflects the schools being completely out, and that's when we go to the full-time schedule. So it'd be June 7th to August 24th.
Okay, so it won't be open over Memorial Day?
Well, it will, but the
Oh, it will be.
full-time starts
Full-time.
June 7th.
Okay, so
June
you'll.
25th is through September 2nd is the full term.
Okay.
But the first part goes from May 25th to June 6th, which does include the holiday.
So basically, prior to June 7th, it'll be the weekends.
Right.
Oh, the weekends. Okay, very good.
And the same thing starting in August 25th. It goes to weekends only at that point up until September 2nd.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, any other questions for, yes, the pool, San Antonio Pool Management people? Mr.
Swim team. In the past, swim team came in and practiced before the pools opened. How we're going to handle that?
As long as it's coordinated with us and we know what time, we work together. I mean, it really isn't a problem. If the pool's opening up at noon, usually swim team is there in the morning, so it's, they're usually in and out before
Right.
the guards are even there. But we would still just want to know, because we typically send somebody in early to clean, and we'd want to make sure that they either get there before the swim team or directly after.
Okay. And I think the other issue was about money, collecting the gate fees, and I heard that you guys didn't want to collect that, or how is that going to, has that been resolved?
Yes, I think it has.
Yes, we actually, that would occur in our meetings with San Antonio Pool Management, but in our preliminary conversations, they have expressed that they would be willing to take a gate fee this year and concessions, and then we would do this will be in the item upcoming, but we would do any membership fees would be collected at City Hall, but they would handle the gate fees and the concessions.
Thank you.
Basically, if you're going to collect one, it's not any harder to collect both, because you're going to use, you're going to be making change anyway, and the staff will be accustomed to doing it. So if you're going to do one, it's really not any harder to do both.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, so this bid that you're bringing before us now is the final bid, is that correct? Because it sounds like there's a lot of things that's not been discussed yet before you came with the...
To my knowledge, it is. To my knowledge, it is.
Okay, so when y'all do your negotiations, just like you didn't seem to be familiar with the swim team, you didn't seem to be familiar with potentially collecting at the gate or so forth. So everything, all that's been figured into your price for the year, I guess is my question for both pools.
Sure, it has been. Yes.
Okay.
So basically, there's not going to be any surprise fees for collecting anything or anything like that. Swim team, although usually we don't know until after the fact of when swim team actually does things. It was a good question. We usually don't hear about swim team until the summer starts, but that's typically how it was. Well aware of it though, but typically it's not brought up until May.
Okay, so the revenues generated from the say the concession stands, are those shared, or did 100% go back to the swim company?
I believe we agreed to provide concessions, but I don't know what the agreement was as far as the splitting of the profit. I believe it would go back to you guys. I mean, that's typically how we've done it in the past. That's something that we've done in the past.
100% back to the city, or 60-40 split, 50-50 split, or has it been discussed?
It would be 100% back to the city.
Okay.
Right.
Gate fees, and then working with concessions, we'll have to work with y'all on that.
Right, definitely. Yeah, we never take any profit from the gate fees or nothing from stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something that basically we would set the fee for whatever you guys select you want to charge for your admission, and that's totally going to you guys. We don't do that.
Okay.
Okay, I understand that, but a lot of times if there's concessions, then it's a split, whoever's providing it versus restocking and all that other kind of stuff that's involved with the concessions.
Right. From what I understand, I believe the intention is for us to provide the actual items to be sold.
Right.
But I'm not sure what was decided on how the splits were going to go on that.
I can tell you, typically, we figure that out in the bid, and that's part of already predetermined, like we already know about this in a bid. So we already guesstimate how much money we're going to spend on the concessions, and so it's already in the bid. It's already part of that agreement. So typically, when we buy, we're agreeing to provide the concessions, the profit typically goes completely to the city.
Okay.
And that's how it has been in the past.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? I wanted to ask about water aerobics. We've had it for the last many, many years, and I didn't see it in the packet. Is that not going to be provided this year?
So that was something that we actually needed to clarify for you guys. So we're open to trying to find someone to do that. We don't have anyone on our team currently that does it, so it would be something that we would have to find.
So what we would need to know in order to determine whether or not we could do that is to know if you require that that person is certified in water aerobics instructing, because that's a pretty specialized certification, basically. So once we know that, then we could probably give you a better idea on how quickly we might be able to secure someone for that. But at present, we do not have someone. We're open to finding them, but it's not something we have already. But we were told that you guys were eager to do that, so we're
Well, it's
we're
just
open
been
to
part of the
providing it.
Forest Oaks pool for, I couldn't tell you how long. It's been, and actually, I think that probably if we could just have a key, we could probably go in there and do it ourselves, you know? But anyway, but I don't know if the people that have led us over the years were certified. I have no idea.
Well, I know that because we've managed the pool in the past, and that person wasn't someone on our payroll, so this is new territory for us. But we'd be open to offering the service if we can figure that out.
Okay. Well, we'll certainly work with you on that, I'm sure. Okay. Anything else on questions for, and I know the next agenda item, we're actually going to go into the specific fees. So this is just on your contract and a budget adjustment. So, all right. Any questions or comments from our citizens and visitors in our chambers this evening on this particular agenda item? Karen, no, I need for you to come to the podium. We are recording, and Ms. Casey and Mr. Ruiz, thank you so much. And if you'll just stay, if we have any questions for you, please. Thank you. Yes, good evening, Karen, and welcome.
Karen Friedeck, and I'm on the pool committee. And the water aerobics in the past, I don't think anybody has ever been certified. It was one of the lifeguards that came and said, yeah, I'll do it. Or last year it was Daniel, the year before, I'm not sure who it was. So as far as being a certified aerobics instructor, I don't think that's as an important thing as just having somebody there to help those of us that want to do water aerobics.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you for that. Yeah. Do appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay. Very good.
So, Mayor, I move that we approve the bid for authorizing the contract for the pool management as presented.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilor Alcacer and a second by Councilor Martinez to approve agenda item 7.2 on the pool management contract as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you all this upcoming. So, I had one other question. Advertising, is that going to be your responsibility or the city's responsibility? It just came to my mind. Because we really need to get
We've
out.
actually been discussing that in our with our pool advisory committee, and so we would like to start, with this item being approved this evening. We would go ahead and start with the banners and just getting as much information out as we can, through our social media, and as much as we can, just, as far as advertising for the pool. I don't know if you all have additional means or.
We do usually provide copies of the swim lesson information pamphlet that can be handed out at the pool. We also have a digital copy if it would be helpful to add that to some other type of advertising campaign or to share on social media. But we do have some paperwork for that. For water aerobics, because that's new, we'd have to generate something, but we could do that as well. So basically, we have some handouts that can be used.
Okay. Will you all have a website?
We do have a website.
This information, so people can go to that website and look up all the information for the two pools?
It would be, basically it would be information for our entire company. It wouldn't be specific for the pool.
Wouldn't be specific for Leon Valley.
Right. But the swim lesson information would be the same for all communities. So it's basically posted generically enough that it explains the questions, but doesn't state that it's a specific location.
Okay. And so how many pools do you all manage then?
Currently for pools where we provide staff, we have 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so hopefully 16.
Okay, so, but you'll have all of the listings of the.
They are not
They're not
listed.
listed, so
Right.
people won't know it's Leon Valley specific. So they just have to go to Pool Management Incorporated, or whatever your
Right.
your company's name is, please forgive me. And
No,
then
that's okay.
we would see all of the information
Right.
about the general pools, but it applies to all 14 or 16 pools that you
Right.
manage.
So
Okay.
it'll explain, for example, on the swim lesson page, there's information about the various levels of teaching. So what different types of skills they'll learn in each level. And there's also information about the different types of classes that are offered. And then, for example, so one of the things that varies from pool to pool is opening time. 12 o'clock is a pretty standard opening, so so usually that's what we use in the example. So it will apply for that. But for example, it'll say that group swim lessons are taught before the pool opens, so they'll all automatically know it's going to be in the mornings. And then for private lessons, for example, it'll state that they'll be scheduled based on the availability of the student and the instructor, so they can be more flexible. So basically, the information that they need to select what course they're interested in, and then to ultimately register, they can do all of it online.
All right.
And then the materials that we can provide will have that information as well, so it'll link them to the correct place. And I believe the last time that we managed the pool, there was something added to link, so if people went to the city website, it linked them when they asked for information about swim lessons back to our page, I think.
Okay.
So even if they didn't know the URL, it would get them there. And that's something that we would be open to helping do again.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I just know we need to get the word out so people can start registering. So, good. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Diaz. How are you? And
Fine,
welcome.
thank you.
So glad you're here.
I'm the chairman of the Pool Advisory Committee, and I know the question was asked about advertising. One of the things that we're thinking about, and I don't know if the city is able to do this, we currently have a website, and we would ask permission to insert a page advertising the pool there, so that they could go to that page and get all the information. And we are also interested in using whoever does the posting on the next door, or if anybody has a Twitter account, the city, I'm not sure. So these are things that we're talking about. But another
And
question.
e-news is another. E-news is
E-news,
another.
right, or the newsletter.
The newsletter.
But the other thing would be, question that I had is if it would be possible to add a link for being able to pay online for the people that would like to take advantage of that service. Would it be, do we have an IT person that can do that? Can add a line of code onto the page?
We can certainly do the website itself. If you can pay online, we don't currently have the ability to offer an additional pay online system because our financial services are through Encode. So they would have to come down to physically pay for that. It's too short of a notice to get that kind of the pay online, unless it's unless San Antonio Pool Management has an option to be able to do that, then we could just link up with their system. But from my understanding, we're taking all the fees in, so.
So I take that as the answer is no, correct?
Correct, but we
Okay.
can add a page for the pool, advertise on there,
Sure.
link up to their website, but as far as paying online, it would take some time for me to set that up with Encode, and I don't think we have enough time to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was a good suggestion. All right. Okay, so we have voted on 7.2, so let's move to the regular agenda. This is our first reads. Our Home Rule Charter requires 2 reads. The first read, we listen and we discuss and we ask questions, and the second one, we follow up and then we vote. So these are our first reads. It's regular agenda item 8.1, and Ms. Postley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance amending the Leon Valley Code of Ordinances, Article A2.000, Administrative Fees, Section A2.003, Municipal Park Fees, G, Swimming Pool Fees, to establish user fees for the city-owned swimming pool facilities, and providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Demeline, welcome back.
Thank you. Well, this item, Mayor, would be to amend our Leon Valley Code of Ordinances under municipal park fees, swimming pool fees, and to establish user fees for the city-owned swimming pool facilities. What was this? Under our current code, it has where the city's contracted pool management company would set the fees. And so we, as we just discussed, San Antonio Pool Management does not handle credit transactions at our pools, so those memberships would come through City Hall. We would handle those transactions through our front counter, with the exception of the gate fees and concessions. The city would need to have a fee structure in place, and as I mentioned, payments would come through at City Hall during regular business hours. We have worked closely with our Pool Advisory Committee to look at not only the management contract or the award of the bid rather, but also the list of fees for our upcoming season. The fees that are similar to the ones that we presented in 2017. There is a few minor differences, so I'll go through them. Daily gate fees, we increased those, or we're recommending increasing those from $3 to $5. The season passes would remain the same. An adult resident is $40. A child resident would be $30. A season pass for an adult non-resident is $60, and a child non-resident is $40. The season pass for a swim team member would be $30 for the season, and then we have a cap of $200 for per family, and that was similar to what we had in 2017.
And there's no number associated with the family. It's just the family. I mean, it could be 5 or 6 or 8 or 10, right? Just want to clarify that.
As long as the, I guess the season passes, if they went above
right.
200, it would be capped
Okay.
at 200, and so we'd be keeping that in place, similar to what we had in 2017. We also recommend that we keep our affordability rates in, and this was with federal guidelines using for 2019, of course. Season pass for an adult resident would be $20, child resident $15, an adult non-resident $30, and a child non-resident $20. And in 2017, we had about roughly about 20 applications under this program. Daycares and groups, $3 per person. Swim lessons, we'll need to work with San Antonio Pool Management, but our recommended fees would be $150 for a private 3 hours. Semi-private is $100. A group lesson would be $50. And then again, the swim team use, if a member of the team was not interested in using the pool, they would still pay $20 of their fee would go towards the usage of our facilities.
Can I ask a question? Will the San Antonio Pool Management Company be in charge of the swim team? Like last year, the contractor
we
ran
haven't
the
had that
swim
discussion with them yet.
Okay.
It could be a coach, coaching those teams.
Okay.
In previous years, I believe they just opened the pool for the team to come in, and then I believe CELA did provide coaching.
Yeah, they did.
So we've kind of had a little bit of both. I guess we would have to have that conversation with them. I don't have an answer for you,
Okay,
Mayor,
I'm just-
this evening.
Okay, thank you.
The pool parties before and after normal scheduled hours at Forest Oaks, that includes our community room. We recommend $250. These are all the same as 2017. We did, the committee wanted to do away with the cleanup fee and basically increase the reservation fee to $50. So all of these fees are the same. Straw flower would be $125 for 2 hours. At Forest Oaks, it would be $150 for 2 hours. And at Forest Oaks, we have an area called the Hill, which are tables underneath the oak trees. That would be $100 for 2 hours.
Is the reservation fee refundable?
We were talking about not having that refundable, mainly
that is
because
the
of
cleaning
a
fee.
transaction.
Okay,
Yes.
and that would represent the cleaning fee? Is that what I'm
Yes.
understanding?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
very
correct.
good. Thank you.
So as I mentioned, payment transactions would come through City Hall. San Antonio Pool Management would handle cash for gate fees and concessions, and we'll need to work closely with San Antonio Pool Management and our finance department regarding, of course, reporting and collections of these. And so we're if we do move, moving forward, we're going to have to work through that quickly. So it's anticipated that, of course, the revenues are going to help us offset the operation and management costs for this season. In years past, we've brought in anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000, and actually in 2017, let's see, I have that number. So we brought in 46,000, Mayor, 46,841 in
2017, 46,000?
And then in 2018, we brought in 51,113. So
Okay.
just as to give you an idea of what we've generated in the past 2 years, and that's
Right, that's based on X number of memberships and gate fees and
yes, ma'am.
that kind of thing, and swim team and all of that, right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
everything.
rentals,
Concessions,
yeah,
parties.
okay. Very good. Can I ask you, are they is San Antonio Pool Management Company bonded?
Yes.
Yes, to accept cash? Okay, very good, just wanted to be sure. All right, excellent.
So we do recommend approval of this ordinance. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I appreciate the opportunity to go over this.
Yes, so let me open it up for questions from our counselors. Yes, Counselor Alcacer.
I'm confused about the swim team, the member full use of pool, $30. Do they pay that and the other $20 fee, or the child fee, or is it just that's a separate fee and then?
Yes, ma'am, that's actually separate. So we had a case where if a swim team member may not want to join the pool, they would only pay the $20. The $30 is if a swim team member would like to join our pools for the remainder of the summer. So there's kind of two. So the $30 would include usage of our pools, and then the $20 would just be for usage during the swim team.
So then there's really not a fee for the swim team?
Well, there is in a sense that we're collecting $20, and the thought is that is going towards it's basically a city usage of that facility. So that would account for our chemicals and for the cost of kind of providing the water and the utilities. So we're collecting that $20 per team member, and a lot of times that comes in the form of, say, if you join the team, you pay X amount of dollars to be a member, and so that's usually in previous years that's been included in that cost. And then the coach or the organizer of that team writes a check to the city based on how many team members there are, writes a check to the city for $20 per member.
But it's still confusing to me because it doesn't seem like they're paying any extra. They're paying just the same as if they were a pool member.
It's a little bit more. It's actually $30. They would pay $10 additional to become a member.
Okay, but but they don't pay the regular season pass.
That's correct. Yes.
So it doesn't make sense that they're paying any extra, even though they're using it at different time. There was always fees for those on the swim team, like $10 or something, that they had to pay as an extra fee.
Well, even being so if they're on the team, they're still going, $20 of that is going to go to the city to pay for usage of that pool.
But the $30 already goes to the city.
So if they pay $30, basically we're saying for $10 additional, you can have 3 months or however many months of usage of that pool. And that was a recommendation that we thought that it would kind of increase membership or offer those amenities to our swim team members.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense to me that there's even a separate fee then, other than the $20 if they don't want to be a member. It would seem to me that they'd say the season pass includes swim team membership or something like that, because otherwise it's not being paid for. And who's going to pay for the coaches?
Well, I believe if you're going to join a team, I don't know what that fee would be, but say it's $100. That kind of pays for the medals, the 6 team events, that sort of thing. Out of that $100, we're saying that $20 would be paid to the city of Leon Valley for usage of those pools. So, and that's just something that we implemented in 2017.
But you don't have a fee.
Well, if this was approved, we would collect $20 per team member.
But you're already collecting 30. So why? I mean, that's what I don't understand. So is it 50 or is it 30?
It's only 30 if they want to use the pool. If they don't, like say for instance, if they live in out of town and they're not really interested in using our pool facilities, they would pay $20 under this scenario or proposal.
Right, but then they're paying. I guess I'm not making my point clear, but they're not really paying anything. So what else? There has to be another fee for the coach and the medals and the things you're talking about.
That's really handled. That's not really the city's responsibility. So it would be covered under that team per se. So we don't really handle that. So that would go through that would be organized through that team for those whatever that amount would be to join the team for the year.
So possibly an additional charge from the team and the coach.
It would definitely be in addition to this 20 or 30.
So I think that needs to be spelled out, because it isn't, to me, it isn't clear by this, in this manner.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Martinez, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I think explained it a little clearer. In the past, before when the swim team or the volunteers ran the straw flower pool, the swim team, they would pay them, I think it was like $75 or $80 a summer, but then a part of that would pay for the use of the pool. The rest of that money would be for their coaches and for medals and stuff. Here, we're just charging for the use of the pool. The individual member is still going to have to join the swim team, and that has an additional fee completely separate from our fees.
But you're saying
That's
it
what
just
I'm
needs to
saying,
be.
needs to be delineated.
I think so,
Either
too.
the fee or the fact that they're
Mhm.
going to have to
Right.
pay it. Because
agree.
this is definitely not clear, clearly indicating that, and people will be surprised, I think, when they.
We can definitely add language explaining that. We don't know what that fee would be, but it would be in addition to the team.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Counselor Jordan.
Can you clarify, I know the daycare, but the groups, what are the groups? And what would separate a group of daycare kids coming versus a group of teenagers coming?
Most, Counselor, most are daycares, but a group would cover if we have like a, say like a soccer team or a club. So it's kind of encompassing of not only daycares, but any type of group from, it could be an adult care, it could be a baseball team or a soccer team. So it's just kind of expanding that category.
Do you know why it's a smaller fee than like the average entry? Seemed to me if it's a group, you know, they're not from the city or they're not going to be coming on a regular basis, they could pay the $5 or maybe even more to use the pool.
It could be more. I think the fee that we kept in 2017 was just utilized again, but we could absolutely look into increasing that.
Right. Well, I understand like Forest Oaks, they have a daycare right inside it, and they would take the kids out, you know, maybe field trip or whatever the case. I understand that, but when it don't clearly delineate groups, that could open up the door for a whole lot of different groups. And I think it'd be an opportunity to kind of possibly leverage some monies to recoup for the operation of the pool. So just something to consider. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Counselor Edwards.
This may have been answered, but in the past I've made the inquiry. Who is in charge of the tennis court next to the Forest Oaks pool? And is that somehow part of the swim team program, or not swim team, but you know, the swim season?
Actually, that's considered part of our parks. So we maintain the tennis court currently. Right now, we don't really have a system in place other than through City Hall to rent that court. So it's not really handled as part of the pool management per se.
Yeah, because there's like a chain and a padlock on it.
Right. So that's a different issue than the pool. So but they
Okay.
would call for a reservation, like you would want, like the pavilion, I guess you would say. Is there going to be a sign-in sheet at each of the pools so that we can track how many people are paying cash and how many, or would there be a band for people that have paid prepaid? How's that going to be differentiated at the gate?
Yes, Mayor. We actually are working through that currently.
Okay.
We're looking into probably having a band system for the memberships, but we would definitely have a sign-in system to track these transactions, and so we'll have all of that in place, you know, prior to our opening.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Very good. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes, comments from our citizens and visitors this evening. Yes, Mr. Diaz, if you'll please come forth. We'd love to hear from you. Yes, sir.
Yes, again, regarding the fees and the payment of the fees, I do know that Ms. Caldera said we weren't set up for the web page, but what about a PayPal account? This is just in the hope of trying to do less money handling and not tax our clerks with so many other functions.
Okay.
Would a PayPal account be? I think that one might be a solution. But anyway,
Okay,
thank
maybe
you.
we'll have, this is the first read, so maybe by the second meeting, we could have that answer.
And I'll try looking into doing it through our system. I just don't want to overpromise.
Yeah.
We can't do it, but
Sure.
I'll definitely
Exactly.
look into the PayPal.
I understand. Thank you.
That sounds good. And will y'all be meeting, Mr. Diaz? Mr. Diaz? Mr. Diaz, will you be meeting again before the next meeting?
We will be having another meeting
Okay,
of the Pool
and so
Advisory Committee.
Mr. Jordan has suggested that the groups might need to, I mean, just to be equitable for the gate, increase that from 3 to 5. I'd like the committee to look that over and give us a recommendation.
Okay.
That's the only other suggestion from our council, so I'd like to hear from y'all if you think that's a good.
We'll discuss it.
Yes,
and-
please
and
do,
take
and
your
then
advice
come back to the
into
next
consideration.
meeting. Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. Anything else that we'd like the Pool Advisory Committee to discuss? Okay, and then, of course, the language of the swim team
Yes,
on
I will
the
definitely
fee, so
bring
to
that
add
back
that.
to our next,
Okay.
our next
All right.
item, Mayor. Thank
Sounds
you.
good, great. Thank
Thank
you.
you
If
all.
there's no other questions or comments, we'll move then to the next agenda item. Agenda item 8.2. Ms. Pasolay, if you'll please read that ordinance or budget adjustment.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas City Council amending the Enterprise Fund Stormwater Fund balance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 in the amount of $27,750 to provide funding for the purchase of a 0.396 acre parcel of land at 6876 Poss Road, being P-5 ABS 432 CB 4430 for stormwater and erosion control on Hebner Creek, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome back, Ms. Moritz.
So this is to consider approving an ordinance authorizing a budget adjustment from our stormwater fund balance to purchase a .398 acre tract of land at 6876 Poss Road. The land is currently zoned R1 Single Family Dwelling District, and it's located at the corner of Poss and Andre Salazar Road, so the road that goes down to the Northwest Little League. We need that lot for the eventual erosion control project along Hebner Creek. The majority of the parcel, I think 65% of it, is located in the floodway and floodplain, plus there's even more portion of it. This would complete the purchase of properties on the southwest side of Hebner Creek. An appraisal of the property was performed and a fair market value was established, and we propose offering the property owner the fair market value of that property. And this is the site. Which one is it? Bottom? Yeah. So here's Andres Salazar. If you continue taking that, it goes down to the Little League, and this one goes to the small pavilion right there. And this is facing it from Poss Road. It's not pretty, but I need it. And then this just shows you what the floodplain is like from afar. Let's see here. So this is the park, and here's Hebner Creek coming around, and that's our property right there. And this just shows you dramatically how much of it is in the floodplain and floodway. So the appraisal came in at $2,200. The appraised value of it is $25,000, and that's what we intend to offer. The title filing fees would be around $550, so the total comes to $27,750, and we would take that from our stormwater fund balance, which was $950,000 as of September the 30th. So our recommendation is to approve an ordinance authorizing the budget adjustment to purchase that property at 6876 Poss Road for the purpose of stormwater control. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. So when you say you need it, and it's still just going to remain, I mean, it's not going to be developed, correct? So you're going to use it.
It would eventually be parkland if there's any of it left. I mean, I don't know what the United States Corps of Engineers wants to do yet as far as our project. We probably won't find that information out until July. And so it'll just sit there vacant.
So that track is on the edge of the Hebner Creek, right? So
the one next to the one on the edge.
The one next to the one on the edge, okay.
The one on the edge is slowly going away.
Going to say the erosion is really bad down there.
And so we'll need some way to get to that edge to do any kind of erosion control.
Right. So not developed at all. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
I was hoping there's a way to to lessen the fee for the appraisal by having them not do all that extra stuff that isn't going to be pertinent for this type of property, and then the fee could maybe be cut in half just by producing a whole lot less paper, but I don't know.
Unfortunately, no. This is actually the lowest level of appraisal that they offer, so.
Okay, well, that was an awful lot of paper or
Sure was.
words generated for this.
It's pretty interesting, too.
It
some of the
it
stuff
was
in there.
interesting, but, I mean, doing all the comparables and stuff, none of that, I don't.
You have to do comparables in order to come up with a fair market value. So that part we did have to have. Didn't necessarily need all the other pages in there, like you said, but.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes. Councilor Martinez.
Is the owner of the property willing to sell it at this price?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Anyone else? Anyone in our chambers have a question on this particular agenda item? Okay, thank you. First
Thank
read,
you.
so we will address it and vote on it at the next council meeting. Moving then to agenda 8.3. Ms. Pasolay, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, City Council, amending general fund of the City of Leon Valley, Texas municipal budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 in the amount of $38,350 to provide funding for bus shelter, custom canopy artwork at the library and at Raymond Rimkus Park, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Moritz, if you'll continue, please.
So this one's to consider approving an ordinance authorizing a budget adjustment from the general fund reserve in the amount of $38,350 to install some artistic canopies on top of the new bus shelters at the library and at Raymond Rimkus Park. During our Evers Road Bridge project, VIA installed the new next-gen bus shelters, and so they're more ADA friendly. They are lit at night, and one of them is across from the library, and one of them is at the library. You can modify these bus shelters to reflect the surroundings. I don't know if y'all remember, I had given y'all some pictures of the one at the zoo that had the animals on top, and it was really neat. So I've been looking at pricing for these things. The company that did the one that's at the zoo, we're going to charge us $60,000, so I didn't even bring that back to y'all. It was like, I better go find some other sources. So the custom artwork is going to create some visual interest at the street. It'll stimulate the community to enjoy the library and the parks. It'll bring public art to the wider community, improve the surrounding property aesthetic value, might encourage some more ridership at VIA, and then address one of the suggestions from the park survey that we did. A lot of the surveys that we received from people that we sent it out to had said they wanted public art at the parks. This isn't directly at the park, but it's the bus shelter at the park. And so this would be the one that's at the library. It's got neat books on the top, and then on the side of it, where it says VIA on this side, we could do some kind of cool library saying from an author or something like that. These are made out, this would be made out of high-density urethane, and so it'd be weatherproof and light, so that it doesn't weigh the bus shelter down. And then this would be, and these are just artistic renderings. She's still working on, she'll work further on it if it's approved. But this would be for the park, so the leaves of the trees. And this is a little bit bigger one of the one at the park. So a budget adjustment in the amount of $38,350 from the general fund reserve would be necessary to fund this new artwork. The balance was $3,359,000 as of September the 30th.
That would be 9/30/18, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead of 19.
Yes. Did I have it on there wrong?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes, ma'am. I just wanted to be sure people knew that hadn't come yet.
September.
Yeah.
So we don't
you.
have a recommendation. This is at the council's discretion. However, it would begin to promote public art as has been requested by our citizens.
Okay, very good. That's great. All right, who'd like to begin the discussion? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
I wasn't clear until you got to the second picture on the leaves. Is that how it's going to look, or is it the other way that it's going to look?
It'd be something in between. The lady who does the sign company was playing around with it, trying to figure out, exactly what what it would look like. So
'Cause-
they've not been made, so these are just artistic renderings.
By the first picture, if that were sitting on top, you wouldn't see much.
You like the second one better?
Right.
Me
And
too.
if they're, and I don't know, would the books be something like that also?
I'd like the books to be bigger, and I'd also like to have the classics on them. And I'd sent Sandy an email asking her to recommend what classic titles we could put on them so that you could see them.
Okay.
Keats,
so
Wadsworth.
that would be really helpful. So this is just an initial rendering
Yes, ma'am.
without it. Okay. By the next meeting, will we have it
I'm not
closer?
sure. I'll
Okay.
ask her if she would.
Okay, thank you. Be really nice.
If she can't have it by the next meeting, I can certainly bring it back to you for your approval of the artwork.
Okay.
That'd be
that
great.
Sounds good.
Anyone else? All right, how about our resident citizens? Do you all think this is a good idea? Good expenditure of your tax dollars for public art? Okay, very good. Yes, Karen, if you'll come and so we can record your comments. Good evening and welcome.
My name is Karen Seifert, and I live on Grass Valley. And I didn't know anything about this being presented tonight, but as I'm looking at this, this is a stationary art type thing. What about art that changes, where we have residents of Leon Valley that do art and present art, children, to invite the community, not just a specific rendering that's there all the time. I love this, but that's just an idea that popped into my mind. So,
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate you thinking outside the box. All right. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
You know, I just thought what Karen had just said, we're going to have the LED sign at the library pretty soon. And with a little creativity, if an artist or one of the kids wanted to draw something, we should be able to project that on the sign and get what you wanted. Hey, let's think outside the box.
Okay, very good. Okay. Excellent. So did you have any comments? We're going to put that sign up this week. This is another digital sign that's going in front of the library, and it should be, I believe I read in the manager's report, it's going to be up this week, or?
It should be. We're expecting rain.
Oh.
I don't know. The electrician has all the electricity. They were running the electric to it today, and of course the foundations and all that. So we'll see what happens.
And so I guess what you were saying, Councilor Martinez, is that rendering from a student could be projected on that small sign in front, or the sign in front of the library.
The graphic could be uploaded
the graphic,
to the...
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So not actually on the bus sign, though, right? Just
the bus canopy art is going to have to be kind of permanent. We can't take it down and change it out. I mean, it would cost extra money. It probably could be done. I mean, I could certainly look into it, but we were thinking stationary forever.
All right.
Could imagine even a school contest. Draw something, and you're going to be featured on that sign at the library for a week or so.
The winner, yeah. Okay, very good. All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Then moving then to agenda item number 8.4, Ms. Pasley, if you'll please read that ordinance.
An ordinance amending Section 3.05.005 of the City of Leon Valley Code of Ordinances regarding residential fences in the front yard, providing for repeal or severability savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Milan,
Good evening,
and
Mayor
welcome.
Council. Thank you. Two city council meetings ago, staff brought forward to the council about 4 up-and-coming potential planning items for consideration to get feedback from. So this item tonight that we're talking about, residential fences in the front yard, is one of those items that we're bringing back to you based on the feedback that you gave us. I've been here for about 11 months, and in that time, I've had citizens inquire about the possibility of having fences in their front yard. And most recently, we have a particular resident over in the Monte Robles area that mistakenly constructed a fence in the front yard that doesn't meet the requirements. So anytime you have a situation like that, it's always time to look at the situation and provide the council with additional feedback. And so that, based on that, that's why we brought that issue, brought this topic to y'all last meeting. So y'all gave me feedback to potentially go to the drawing board to be creative and look at some other cities and see how other cities regulate front yard residential fences. So that's what I've done here tonight, and I brought y'all some potential ordinance amendment language here to discuss as well. Currently, the city's building code, so fence requirements are not located in the zoning code. You know, as I've mentioned before, you know, a lot of things are located in our zoning code, but some things like signage and fences, that's not located in our zoning code. That's actually located in Chapter 3 of our building code. So right now, the code states that residential fences shall not exceed 6 feet in height in the side or rear yards. You know, everybody here, we all have 6-foot tall fences in our backyards and in our side yards, pretty much up into the front of our house. And the code says that that fences shall not exceed 44 inches in height in the required front yard. So 44 inches of height is probably about to right here on me. And so it says a fence side shall face toward the public viewpoint or public right-of-way. So, you know, you go throughout our city, you'll see a lot of 44-inch tall fences. We issue a lot of permits for those. You know, as I mentioned, we've received inquiries in our office, and like I said, we've got the outstanding fence issue too, where the only path forward for that particular fence is a variance, and if that's not approved, that fence would need to come down. And we've spent a lot of time over the past couple months talking about criteria for variances, and council's taken specific actions to make sure that criteria is very focused and very strict in order to uphold our laws. So again, in a situation like this, you know, again, where you also have an existing fence and the criteria would not allow for a variance, but yet we look around and we see other communities that also allow 6-foot tall fences and fences like the one that was built. You know, it's an opportunity to look around at other cities and do some research. So that's exactly what I did. I looked at City of San Antonio, looked at Alma Heights, looked at Terrell Hills, looked at Garden Ridge, looked at Almas Park, looked at Chavano Park, Hollywood Park. And so among those, the ones that stood out to me were the ones that I specifically was aware of, which is one of the reasons why I started looking at other cities, the Terrell Hills and Almas Park. I've got some pictures to show you guys too. In both Terrell Hills and Almas Park, they allow fences, front yard fences, up to 6 feet in height. So to give everybody perspective, 6 feet is exactly as tall as I am. I'm exactly 6 feet tall. So, you know, staff's aware of other cities that permit fences on larger lots. You know, typically you don't see like tall front yard fences on smaller lots. You usually see front yard fences on larger lots. You see them on estate type of lots, like you see in Alma Heights, or you see in Almas Park or Terrell Hills. And so, you know, from looking at it from an architecture perspective, it's always important to remember that, you know, fence height and things like that, it's always a matter of scale. You know, and when things get a little bit more dense, you see a little bit, you know, picket fences. So it's definitely a matter of scale. So I definitely, Crystal, if you could bring up, I've got a couple of pictures to show you guys, about 4 pictures to show y'all, just to give y'all an idea of what a 6-foot tall, you can probably zoom in on that, you can see there's a 6-foot tall wrought iron metal fence. There you go. Here's one that's screened by greenery, by bushes and shrubs. Here you go. This is one that has a little bit more detail to it. You see, you have the wrought iron. There's also a vegetative base. In a lot of cases, there's a stone or a brick kind of base to it. Very last one. Here's an example of just kind of very very pure wrought iron fence, open face, that has brick columns spaced on it. Here's another one. This is in Almas Park here. Again, 6-foot tall wrought iron metal fence. This right here is pretty similar to what's existing over in Monte Robles Park right now. So, based on this, just again providing the council with feedback. Staff doesn't have any concerns with allowing wrought iron fences, provided they're open and they're transparent. Again, it's important to remember there's a big difference between a fence and a wall. A fence is made of stone. That is a wall. That is architectural. That's structural. That has a totally different aesthetic type of feel and has the potential to, really change the character of an area. But wrought iron, provided it's open and transparent, can be a compatible type of fence material and can be something that can be employed in larger lot areas, and definitely, as I showed in the pictures, can be something which can be used to enhance the aesthetic character of an area and potentially build value in an area. Really, again, just like anything, it's always important that you look at design. Design's really key. So with that, a potential ordinance amendment, in this case, definitely when we talk about issues such as scale and size of lots, potential code amendment would be to amend the code to not change the code, not change the 44-inch maximum for any of our districts like R1 in general, R2, R4, R6, R7. R1 is our standard lot, 8,400 square foot minimum. Most of the lots in Leon Valley are R1. R2 is our duplex, our two-family lot. R4 is our townhouse. R6 is our garden style lot, and R7 is our kind of medium size lot. So not proposing to change that at all. Those are some of our smaller lots, and definitely don't think a 6-foot tall fence would be appropriate in those areas where you have smaller lots. But however, we just recently created our RE1 district, which has a minimum 1-acre lot size. Most likely be employing that district over in our William Rancher area, where we have a larger, more rural area down there. And so the staff's proposed language is to amend the code to allow residential fences in the RE1 district and lots within the R1 district that have a minimum lot size of 1 acre. That's the Monte Robles area, so a lot of lots over there in the Monte Robles area that are over 1 acre. So this potential change here would allow for 6-foot tall wrought iron fences, ornamental steel wrought iron fences in the Monte Robles area, provided the lots were over 1 acre. And would allow, so I'll read the language, residential fences in the RE1 district and lots within the R1 district that have a minimum lot size of 1 acre shall not exceed 6 feet in height in the side or rear yards, or 44 inches in height in the required front yard, with the following exception. Fences in the front yard may be constructed up to 6 feet in height, provided they are constructed entirely of ornamental steel or iron. And one thing, in looking at this, I did notice, in looking at the pictures, and after the fact, I would, prior to the next meeting on final read, I would recommend to the council that y'all insert the word open.
Okay.
Open, that way it's open, because, you never know. I'm a planner. I think sky is falling all the time, but, somebody could make an argument. It's ornamental steel, even though it's completely, so I would definitely recommend you put open in there. So that's a potential code amendment, and happy to take any questions.
All right. Yes, thank you. I was wondering, could we require the 44 inches in the front yard in the R1, 2, 3, 4, less than 1 acre to be ornamental steel or iron and not chain link?
You can
I
do,
mean, can we do
absolutely.
that in this one too? I don't know if y'all want to. This is just, we have a situation in our neighborhood that we have a chain link fence in the front yard, and it just really, I don't know. You'll have to go by. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and bring it.
You absolutely
It's just, so I think if we're going to have it in the front yard, I understand the 1 acre, and that's great. But if for the smaller lots, could we require the ornamental? I think it would be so much prettier.
You could, and picket style
anyway.
fences. Y'all could definitely, and I'm happy before the next meeting, maybe just to,
If
change
that's what
that
the
language.
council, would like to see included. I mean, I just wanted
that's
to
a great
throw
idea.
that out as we're working on fences. So, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions from our council? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
The picture that you showed that had the brick, and it looked like about a 4-foot fence, and this wouldn't apply, that combination, if you left it like that? Because that looked pretty nice.
So you bring up a good point.
That's 4 feet too.
Let me see.
No, the one with the, well, that one has the combination, but the one that had this one right here. See, that doesn't look like a 6-foot fence to me, but
It's 6 foot from the grade.
it
From the,
is.
Yeah.
from the grass or the, yeah.
It's 6 foot from the grade, and I would bet you, maybe not, that there's some sort of something behind those bushes, maybe not. But again, I think, you know, the intent is to regulate the maximum height, you know.
But, I mean, so under this, it seems that that wouldn't be acceptable, but I would like that to be. It does look like the gate is 6 feet, but the other one ends, looks like at the bush height. But under this wouldn't allow it, or
You're saying that the proposed code language wouldn't allow this particular fence right here?
that's what it would seem to me.
I think this would be about 6 feet in height. And so,
Well, it looks like if you look at the gate, see how the gate comes down? That's probably 6 feet. But this one looks like it's just sitting right there, and it's not. But anyway, what I'm saying more is the columns.
yes. You like the columns?
Well, I mean, I think columns look that, and with the prior pictures, they look good with it. Are they not allowed with it because it says wrought iron?
They're not proposed with this language, but that's something else that I could look at if y'all are interested in maybe looking at some combinations. You know, a lot of cases, like in Almas Park's ordinance, they allow for a brick base up to 36 inches, and then they allow for if the fence goes up any taller, up to 6 feet, then it has to be wrought iron up above. So they allow for some combinations. And you know, I was taking kind of a simple approach to this one, you know, because it's really easy to look at, you know, wrought iron. I think we all, you know, that's a lot easier to kind of comprehend in terms of an initial step, you know, towards front yard fences. But if you guys want me to look at some combinations, I'm happy to do that as well, because there are definitely lots of different things that you could do.
Could we look at this looks like it's Almas Park. Could we look at the Almas Park fence ordinance, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and they, like the brick besides these, I don't know what the greenery is over brick or whatever, but it seems little things like that enhance it.
I agree.
And it should be available at least if people
To add some
want to do
variation.
it.
I think that's a great point. I can definitely look at some, putting in some additional variation, some combinations.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, we do have a public hearing on this agenda item. So at approximately 7:40 on March the 19th, I'll open up the public hearing. And is there anyone that would like to address the council? Please come forward and state your name and where you live. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Riddle.
Good evening. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, especially on those pictures. Since I live next to a house that burned down, I think it's imperative that fences in the front yard provide some kind of fire access for a fire engine to come in and fight a fire at the premise. And a lot of those pictures I saw, they had gates. Like, I don't know how the fire department would get into that premise if the gates were closed on them. I assume we're saying we're not going to allow gates.
Well, we've got Chief Naughton. He heard your comments, so he's coming on in. Chief Naughton, do you have, can you address what Mr. Riddle just brought up as far as having a fence in the front yard with a gate? How would the fire department get in there to fight a fire?
We would take the gate down.
Oh,
Most of the time
there
we
you
break
go.
them off the track.
That's easy.
But there's no regulation in the fire codes for residential gates on residential property.
Okay. All right. So you just take down the gate. All right. There you go. We got the answer. Thank you so much. Yes. All right. Next, Mr. Bradshaw.
Will Bradshaw, and I live in Monte Robles, and I just wanted to comment on the fence thing. I bought the property about 3.5 years ago, and I think it also would add to the property value and the general look of the neighborhood if there was fences. But I also would think that the pillars in between some of the fences, like brick, a combination would be better. And if my house is burning down, I wouldn't mind if the fire chief just blow through the fence.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And Monte Robles has got the 1 acre lots, is that correct? So that would be eligible. All right. Anyone else like to address the council during the public hearing on this agenda item? Okay. Seeing no one else, then we'll close the public hearing at 4:42 this evening. All right, and we'll bring this one back. Yes.
You said 4:42. Could you restate your time?
Oh, I'm sorry, 7:42. I wrote it down, 7:42, and I said 4:42. Thank you. I appreciate that. Slip of the tongue. Okay, 7:42. All right. So we'll then move on to agenda 8.5. Ms. Postley, if you'll please read this ordinance.
An ordinance amending the City of Leon Valley Code of Ordinances, Article 4.01, credit access businesses to provide a certificate of registration application fee amount, amending the City of Leon Valley Code of Ordinances Appendix A fee schedule to add Section A17.010, credit access business registration application fee, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Ms. Frederick, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On the first read of the credit access business regulations, I brought up the fees for the registration. I came back on the second read with examples of different cities, similar to City of Leon Valley and the fees that they charge, and also larger cities as well. We didn't at either of those times set a fee, so I'm coming back today to ask council to set a fee for the registration of the credit access businesses. The code was created under Article 4.01 of our Code of Ordinances, and we set forth registration requirements and credit extension guidelines, and the code was adopted on January 15th of this year. Council now has to set the certificate of registration fee amount, as I said earlier, and the application and registration fee is charged by cities in Texas, as I had mentioned earlier, and at the second reading of the last, when you passed the ordinance. Balcones Heights charges $50, Universal City $250, San Antonio $50, Austin $50, Dallas $76, and Houston has two fees, a registration and administrative fee. Registration $51.42 and administrative fee $27.52. So right now, I'm going to ask council to come up with a fee that you feel is appropriate for the City of Leon Valley for the registration of the credit access businesses. You don't have to use the same fees. I mean, you can set your own fee.
Would you explain what's involved in this? I mean, what are we paying for? We're charging them for what?
Well, they have to, under state law, register with the city to operate within the city.
So that's filling out paperwork.
That's filling out paperwork, and they have to fill out an application. Under our Code of Ordinances. And so we need a fee for them to charge them to apply.
Okay, and then we have to process that
Yes.
here at the city. So we need to cover that,
Yes.
I would think.
Yes.
Anything, do we have to send that application or registration to the state for another registration up there? It's just locally?
There's a process, I believe, that we go through for the state. We have to send paperwork into them under our Code of Ordinances based on state law to show, or either they have to show that they are registered with the city, and they have to show that, and they have to renew, I believe it's every 2 years, I can't remember, from our Code of Ordinances and from the state statute.
Okay, so, but that's the business owner's responsibility. It's not our,
responsibility,
we just
right.
have to take the application and the registration and
And
charge
then
them a fee
provide
for
them
that.
with the application, charge them, with the registration. Give them the registration.
Give them the registration. So that's all we have to do, and that fee would cover that plus whatever. Okay. Well, Balcones charges $50. I wonder why Universal charges $250. They're so, they're so much higher than the rest.
You don't want them there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the whole point of
That what it was?
as you recall, that's the reason why we passed the ordinance, is to limit them coming into the
Okay.
city.
All right. Anyone have a particular number to throw out? That's what Ms. Frederick is asking for. Yes, Councilor Martinez.
Why not go with the 250?
Okay. 250, do we have a, gosh, I feel like I'm in an auction. 250 going once, going twice, you know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that.
I think the higher the better, keeps them out.
Okay.
Be minimal chances of them wanting to come in.
Okay. So is that what I hear the consensus is from the council is 250? Okay. All right. So 250. Unless
Yes,
we
can
have
I
other questions, comments. Okay. Oh, Ms. Seifert, we need to come to the podium. Yes. So if there's any other discussion on this fee, let us hear from you now. Thank you. And welcome back.
Thank you. Karen Seifert, Grass Valley. Who are we keeping out? I thought we wanted to bring businesses into Leon Valley.
Miss.
Payday lenders. Oh,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We just didn't use the word. Yeah. Okay. But okay. So that's the issue. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay.
Is this a resolution or is this?
No, this is a first read. So we'll have to.
First read.
All righty.
So the next time we come back, we'll just vote on that. I'll prepare the fee amount, and it also have to change we're also amending the appendix A, our fee schedule in our code of ordinances.
Yes, sir.
I was going to add it.
Yes, please do.
The one place that kind of started all this new look at it has moved on. They just re-rented the space to a karate place, so we don't have to worry about them trying to come into that space again and have the arguments we did already. So it looks like this is gone away for now, the problem we were having.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for the update. All right. Thank you, Ms. Frederick. On the next one, discussion of possible action on ethics workshop. I don't know if this was as clear as it could have been, but at the last meeting, Councilor Edwards was not here, and so I asked to table it, and I guess maybe my name should have been there instead of yours, because we're not going to actually go through the workshop, but we were going to discuss broadly how we wanted to go forth. And I think that you have a suggestion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mayor and Council, that's exactly it. My idea for this item was for y'all to determine whether or not a training and workshop was necessary. Second, to give me some guidance on when you would like to have it. So I've also come up with an idea, because I'm not an expert at ethics. I did draft the ordinance based on other cities, but I would like to bring in some professionals for the entire city, employees, city officials, everyone to have a chance to get some training on the ethics code, state regulations, and ethics in general. And I've reached out to Alan Borjorquez. His firm does ethics training. I haven't gotten a cost estimate yet, because I didn't have all the information to provide to him for that. But I believe I do now. I did send him an email today to tell him that we had 115 employees. We have 6 city officials, and also in the ethics code, there's a provision in there that talks about the ethics review board, and the review board has to be it should be formed after the first general election, and we're going to stagger the terms. So I felt like it was a good idea to have the ethics training after y'all establish the ethics review board, and that they can participate and be there as well. And my idea was to have 2 sessions for the entire city as a mandatory requirement for the employees to attend, and also videotape the session for those employees who couldn't make it, and for those city officials or whoever that couldn't make it. But they would have to, and everybody would have to sign an ethics code certificate saying that they received ethics training and that they would abide by the ethics code.
Okay, all right. So that's good. That's a plan, and thank you for thinking it through and presenting it. And what's the feedback from the council? It sounds reasonable to me, but yeah. Yes, Councilor Martinez?
I just have one question. Back in 2017, when we passed the employee personnel manual, there's a section on the ethics in there. Is that section going to be removed and replaced by this new ethics?
Well, because this is a code, it's an ordinance, it's a law. This ethics code trumps everything.
So we
And that's
need to-
policy in the employee manual that would have to be changed.
It would have to be removed.
It could either change or be removed. It just depends. I don't know how. That's a human resources.
Okay, but we can look at that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Alcacer.
Here's my issue, Mayor. When all of this started in, well, we had the first thing in January, but the actual read in February. And when it passed, there was a motion and a second by two counselors to actually have the workshop, and then it was recommended that the workshop be at the next meeting. So we have something pending, and it was kind of superseded by this, and probably shouldn't have been, because it's still pending that you had two counselors request, and then it was actually put on at the last meeting. So we need to deal with that part of the issue also. I do think we need citywide training, and it seems unfortunate to me that it would have to wait until after the election. And
It doesn't have to, Councilor Alcazar. I mean, it doesn't. I was just trying to include the ethics review board panel or the board in the training. But we don't have to wait for, do we, Sandra? I don't know how the budget is going to go, and I really don't know what the cost is going to be.
We would have to, it's going to have to come out of this current fiscal year anyway, so.
So it can be as soon as you like. And then we also, since we're going to videotape it, the ethics review board can look at it. It'll be required for them to see it online. That'll be online.
Because don't you need also the board members, all the board members and commissioners to see it also?
Yes. I need everyone who is a part of a committee. It'll be mandatory. Everyone who's on the zoning commission, the board of adjustments, everyone will be susceptible to the ethics review.
So how, I guess this is a question to you then, how do we deal with the fact that we had something put on and scheduled, and then it was bypassed, and then it was changed?
I don't recall whether or not there was a specific date that it was tabled. Okay.
It was actually moved to the last meeting, and Mr. Councilor Edwards was on vacation, so it was moved to this meeting for everybody's understanding, except the mayor said she had a different understanding, and her intent was to just change it to what it is tonight. And that's what happened. So what I'm asking is,
how to remedy?
Well,
yes.
See, this was just for the council. The workshop was just for the council. You've now broadened it. It's two totally different issues now, okay? And so if we need to, have a motion to say we're going to cancel the recommended city council workshop on ethics, and go forth with this idea, maybe that's what we need to do, but it was two totally different.
I think that that would probably be the best thing
Yeah,
to do.
so
You
I
can
didn't-
vote, you can definitely
Yeah.
vote on whether or not you want to have, I mean, because we're ready to go
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
for the workshop, if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that right now, and have a little training before that, and then have your workshop, so that satisfies what you voted on the last time. Or you can vote to eliminate that,
Right.
to go, or you can still decide that you want to have the mini training and
Gotcha.
workshop at a different date,
Ask the
and still
council.
have the training.
Okay, very good. Yes, Counselor Edwards.
It was never my intent to have a mini training, and I think it's much more complicated than that. And wasn't my understanding that we're going to do that in a brief period of time at a city council meeting. I thought it was going to come up. We're going to set a time for a more involved discussion, because there's a lot of material, that was included in the ethics ordinance that was voted on.
Well,
So-
that was my intention, that it would probably take over an hour or two to have the workshop, because I did want to do a mini training with y'all on it's going to only cover, because the ethics ordinance is so long and it's so many topics, that I was only going to be able to go up to a certain point, probably up to the ethics review, a little past that. So it wasn't going to be the whole thing in one session. We would have to do two sessions, or just the one on the most important things and so my plan was to do a mini training with y'all, and then y'all have your workshop and determine whether or not you wanted to add something or take something out, and then you vote on it.
Add something
Add a provision.
to the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was one thing I was interested in, is a discussion that would include some consideration of things that might need to be added.
But I think that personally and professionally, as your city attorney, I feel that you'd be better off going through a professional training on ethics before you decide to add or take something out of the code.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, Counselor Martinez, and then Counselor Jordan.
When this subject came up after the vote to approve the ordinance, I made a recommendation that I would like to have a workshop for ethics, but since that topic wasn't on the agenda, I could only make a motion, and it was seconded, that we bring the topic back at the next city council meeting, so it can be discussed whether we wanted to have a workshop. Nowhere in there was any direction given to actually holding the workshop. It was just for us council members to bring it up at the floor, since we couldn't talk about something that wasn't on the agenda.
Well, that was my understanding as well, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's
So that's why, a presentation at the next meeting was completely out of order, in my opinion, because all we were supposed to do is discuss whether we wanted to have a workshop, and when, and the particulars of that.
That's my
And
understanding.
Mayor, I think that if you have it read, the motion back, if I can impose on Sandra, I think that would clarify.
Well, is it really necessary? I mean,
Yes.
okay. Counselor Jordan, go ahead.
Yes,
with
ma'am.
your
I
comments.
think it's necessary, because the conversation initially was a proposed workshop in 45 days from the meeting.
Oh.
Excuse me, in 45 days from the meeting that we had. And then when that did not pass, there was a request for a workshop the following meeting. And that's what my recollection of the motion was. So if we could get clarification, that'd be great. Because my
Okay,
understanding was
that's fine.
it was a workshop.
From which meeting?
It would have been, I
Last
think, the
meeting.
first meeting in February or the second.
Well,
When did we pass the ordinance? That's the
The second meeting in February.
It was not my understanding that there was going to be a workshop the following city council meeting. That was not my understanding.
You can read the motion.
That's why I requested it be read back.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well.
It's pulling it up. Hold on. Okay. The item was presentation and discussion of an ordinance amending Chapter 1 of the City of Leon Valley Code of Ordinances, providing for the addition of Article 1.12, City of Leon Valley Ethics Regulations. There were several motions. Do you want me to read them all?
It's up to the counselors who are
Final?
requesting it, so.
It would have been the one after the ordinance was passed.
Okay. Counselor David Edwards amended his motion to include a date certain of a workshop to be held within 45 days. To hold the workshop. I'd have to read the whole thing. A motion was made by Counselor David Edwards and seconded by Counselor Benny Martinez to postpone this item and hold a workshop within 45 days. City Attorney Frederick asked for a date certain. Counselor Benny Martinez suggested Saturday workshop. Mayor Riley and Counselor Benny Martinez both then suggested 45 days. City Attorney Frederick asked Counselor David Edwards to amend his motion, which he did. Then there was a call vote. The motion failed. And then a motion, okay, there it is. A motion was made by Counselor Monica Alcacer and seconded by Counselor Catherine Rodriguez.
One after that.
To approve the, okay, after that?
Yes.
A motion was made by Counselor Benny Martinez and seconded by Counselor David Edwards to have a workshop added to the next City Council agenda to discuss this ordinance. Counselor Benny Martinez and Counselor David Edwards both withdrew their motion. There was a consensus among the members of City Council to hold a workshop on the next City Council agenda.
Thank you.
So it wasn't a motion that was passed and approved to hold a, or just a consensus?
On February 19th, there was a consensus to do that, and then on March 5th, it was on the agenda, and it was postponed or tabled because we didn't have a full council, and it was tabled until we had a full council.
Okay, but you were saying that we can withdraw what we said and go forth with your recommendation. Is that what you're saying we could do?
You
Okay.
can. You can vote. You can take an action in either direction. But since there wasn't a formal vote and passing of having the workshop on a date certain, and it was just a consensus, you're not under any obligation to have it now. And even though it was on the agenda this last time, 3-5, what happened with that? It was
tabled.
Mayor Chris Riley asked members of City Council to consider tabling this item since there was not a full City Council present this evening. A motion was made by Councilor Benny Martinez and seconded by Councilor David Jordan to table the item to a future meeting when a full council would be present.
Was there a date certain?
No,
Okay.
until full council would be present.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we're okay. With whatever way you want to go tonight.
Okay, very good. All right. So you're looking for some direction.
Yes.
Okay. And so what would the council
I
like
would
to do?
still like to have possibly a Saturday workshop where we can spend, it could take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to go over this.
I thought you said you were recommending 2 separate?
I was recommending that you have the professional training first before you have your workshop, because I want you to have as much information and education on it as possible before you start amending the ordinance.
Okay, all right.
I believe the workshop would be such that a place or a time when you would bring up suggestions after your training. That's why I wanted to give you a mini training before I came up with the idea of having professionals come in. Give you a mini training on the ethics code. But then I was doing some research and I saw that they do have professional ethics trainings and what the topics can be. And I wanted the whole thing to be presented to everybody.
I think it's more efficient to have the professional and have it for everyone, employees, council, committees. I mean, we've done that in the past with open meetings training and open records. We've done that before here with popcorn, in the past. I'm serious.
I can bring refreshments.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I would say.
Do you have an estimate as to the time did they give you?
I told them I wanted to keep each session's no more than 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't want to take up too much of the employees' time during the day. And like I said, I'm going to have 2 sessions for people that are able to come to the 2 sessions and be physically present. But I also want to provide availability for it to be online on our website, so that those who, because it's mandatory for everybody, and for those who couldn't attend on the 2 sessions, be able to see it online and then sign the
Very good.
certificate.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Is the presenter, is this from TML? Was that where you got the recommendation to use
No,
them?
this is the same attorney who
the
wrote.
grammar problems?
Well, he said it was a typo. I don't know if you got the email that I sent you, but it was just the one thing. Yes, the same attorney, Alan Borhorkes, and he's very well known. The lady that works for him gives I don't know, is she a paralegal or is she the city?
Sherry Mashburn, she's the city secretary from Bryan.
She came to us a couple of summers ago.
Right, she did our parliamentary training, but she now works for him.
Right. Oh, she does?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So
Okay,
they
thank
have
you.
a whole separate, it's not a part of the law firm, but they have a whole separate training business that they do for cities in Texas.
Okay, very good. So,
Saturday morning or an evening, it's fine, whichever works better.
Maybe
I would prefer,
bring us back
since
a
it's
couple of dates.
employees, to have it during the week, like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Those days in the morning, a morning and an afternoon session, so that people don't have to come in on a weekend who's working here, and whoever can come during one of those days, it would be better. That's what I recommend.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
but a Saturday workshop for committees and council, is that what you're saying?
Well, we can do that after y'all get their training. If the council and committees can't attend the sessions during the day because you're working or whatever, we have it available online. I would recommend that we have our workshop afterwards on a Saturday. And then that way you can take as much time as you like. Up to a certain time, like up to noon, like we do our normal workshops.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just to be clear, the expert's going to give us the training?
Yes.
Okay, just want to be sure. I wasn't sure if it was the expert or if you wanted to give the mini training before
No,
we.
I
good.
really
Just
think
wanna be
that
sure.
that's a waste of time.
Okay, very good.
To be honest
The
with
mini
you.
training and then the workshop to amend and recommend changes or whatever, but that's a
Right.
separate. Okay, gotcha. All right. So do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Who would like to craft that motion?
Unless you want to go through what we went through just now.
Well, are we making the motion that you set it up for a date certain and the
That
date
whether,
time?
well, whether you want to have the professional training,
Mhm.
and you can approve that, and whatever day you want to have the training.
So you-
Based on my presentation, whether you want to, is there anything special other than what I've presented as far as the professional training is concerned that you want, or?
Professional training on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Or Wednesday, yes, and the 2-hour sessions, 2 or 3 hour, the 2 or 3 hour sessions.
Okay, I move that we do that.
I'll second.
Okay.
So my presentation is that we have a professional trainer for ethics come in and train city staff, employees, officials, and committee members to have it on whatever day is available for the professional trainer, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, for 2 sessions during one of those days, a morning and afternoon session. And also make it available online for anyone out of those groups who could not attend.
Well said, that's my motion.
Okay, so no Saturday?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, all right, very good. So all those.
Unless you want to vote on your workshop right now.
No, I think we've got to
Okay.
do one thing at a time. So with the motion as presented on the ethics workshop, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Ethics training.
Ethics training. Any opposed? And let's see, that was, I'm sorry, the motion was made by Councilor Alcacer and seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. I always like to put that on the record. So the motion does carry. Okay, thank you very much. All right, glad we clarified that. Citizens to be heard. Anyone like to address the council at this time? Please come forward. Oh, we've got a citizen to be heard, huh?
I was waiting on them, but since I don't
No?
know, I want to clarify what occurred earlier in citizens to be heard and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
We did look up the flag, y'all was 25 feet. Just kind of like I recommended before, it's just, and this is for everybody. Look where you're placing those signs. If you see utilities, they call it a clue, move the other side of the utility. And on that neighborhood, the telephone lines hanging above, and that's why I moved it as far as I did past the telephone line. So that's for that neighborhood, but that's for any neighborhood, any place you guys are going to put your signs. Pay attention to utilities. It'll give you a pretty good, just about every neighborhood. You can see where the utilities are. Just go past the utilities. Otherwise, we have to go get a tape measure, go find the plat like we did his tonight, and 25 feet was his neighborhood, like Ms. Jason's neighborhood is saying. Is that from the center of the street? Center of the street, 25 feet.
Okay, would you send out those regulations again for the signs one more time? Would you mind? Or maybe just to me. I just want to.
No, I'll resend
Yeah.
them.
Okay, thank you. I just.
There's other things that weren't in there.
Oh, okay.
My
Do you want to?
original deal, I can put some additional
Can you
things in
do
there.
that? Okay, I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Like I've explained before, every neighborhood is different.
Mhm.
Utilities are different. For us to go street by street and tell you exactly where you can place your sign, that's
Yeah.
impossible. We're just trying to do the best we can, and if we move it, don't take offense to that, please. We're trying to make sure that you don't get yourself in trouble or we have an issue with somebody getting hurt because of puncturing some kind of line. So it's not personal, I promise you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your clarification on that. All right, anyone else? All right, if not, then move to adjourn at 8:15 on March the 19th, 2019. Thank you all very much for being here. Appreciate it. We stand adjourned.
Last week, 8:15 this week.